Okay, we are back, and hopefully I don't get left by myself again looking at a screen.
We did it on
with
purpose.
three...
We did it on purpose.
Apparently, it was all a prank. They all did the mannequin challenge, didn't tell me. Also, quickly glitched my computer a bit just to see my face. So, yeah, we should be back now. I can't remember what we were talking about because I panicked and tried to fix everything.
Pogba in for Hazard, Richarlison, or Martial.
Oh, yes.
Good
I think
mind,
we pretty much.
Yeah, I
we
remember
covered that.
Kurt was talking, and it just my life
Had
crumbled in
enough.
front of my
I was
eyes.
like, I can't be bothered to listen to that more anymore.
Yeah.
Stop that, Kurt Yoy.
We can do it while you were talking, Jay, because it would have been too obvious then.
Well, we were chatting a bit about Spurs players, and obviously with a lot of their injuries, Kane, Son away, Ali getting injured in the previous game. So, what do you reckon, Nim? Are you looking at any Spurs players given all these injuries?
I have to admit, when it first started the match, I very much was feeling a bit like I should have one of Ali or Ericsson, and especially when Ali scored. I sort of thought, this is going to be one of those choices I should have made and didn't make, isn't it? Of course, now with the injury, that does obviously make things a little bit more difficult. I like Ericsson as a player a lot. Like I big respect for him. I think he's a brilliant player, and out of that Spurs team, without Kane there, Ericsson would be who I'd be most drawn towards, I think, even though I know Ali is more explosive. But I can't not agree with Kurt on this one. I think he will end up, without Ali there, trying to do everything, almost doing what Hazard's doing at the moment. I think that might end up kind of making his output a bit poor, really. So, yeah.
Yeah, sure. What about you, Jay? I mean, like this... Spurs play 3 home games on the bounce now. 3 very nice home games. So is there any temptation with you, looking at Lucas Moura maybe, Lamela? I know Moura's injured, but it looks like he's going to come back for that game. So what do you reckon?
I mean, if he can come back, they're going to bring him back, especially with the situation they're in.
You'd think so, wouldn't you?
I'm personally quite happy to just avoid them, despite the fixtures. Just because for me, Son was the player, and then for me, with Son and Kane out, Dele Alli was the player that had the statistics when Kane wasn't around to be the one that did stand up and be counted for. So for me now, it's Ericsson is still a quality player. There is the potential that with potentially Lamela and Moura, if he comes back in front of him, that could still work. I could still see that working with Lamela and Moura trying to get in behind and Ericsson trying to find them with through balls and so on.
Yeah.
But I just don't feel like I need to take the risk. It's completely possible that 1 or 2 of them will do amazingly well, but I'm not sure they'll be so highly owned that I need to worry if they do that well. So I'm quite happy to stay away from Spurs for now, and then maybe reevaluate after I've watched a game or 2.
Yeah,
sure.
It's difficult because where we are at the moment with Salah playing so well, and no disrespect to Kurt, of course, but let's be honest, lots of people have Salah now. And anyone that has him is going to be captaining him, probably for the next few weeks, because of the form he's in. Now, with that knowledge, it's kind of like you lose that trump card. You don't have a wonderful captain pick that can shoot up the ranks because everyone captains Salah. So I am kind of in the market to find a player now that can actually get me higher in the ranks, if you know what I mean, because almost all of my players are 20% owned. I think my lowest owned player is Pereira, and he's got 18% ownership, and he's away to Spurs next. So I'm kind of in the market for a player. So that's why there is this, Lucas Moura is in my mind a little bit, if he can come back, because
Don't do it.
I know he's not an ideal
it's literally
solution.
Nim's catchphrase as soon as Moura's name is mentioned.
I'm
thinking of getting Will Hughes.
Oh, wow. Whatever, they are players that can just do so, can do well. But I think the Lucas Moura thing, he's a bit like Martial for me. He's one of those players that is just when he plays and he's looking good, you think. When I owned him, I was like, why am I not getting anything from him here? Why is it week in, week out? And he had the best fixtures for such a good run, and I sat there. It's basically just for Richarlison all over again. Sat there week in, week out, literally with him in my team, waiting for him to do something. And he'd get I got so fed up of him. I'm about to sell him. He'd get an assist, and then I'd be like, oh yeah, but then he's got so and so next, so I might keep him for one more. And it was ridiculous. It was a terrible love-hate relationship, that one. I don't want to go back there in a hurry, but
I know it's like you say, I know it's not an exciting replacement. I know it could go wrong, but I don't know. I brought in Pogba and Rashford this week, and they're players that have been on form.
They'd be your differential for a captain if you wanted to, go up the ranks.
Yeah, but I'm not going to take the chance of not captaining Salah at the moment. I'm just trying. Some people will do that. There's a strategy where you can kind of know that everyone's going to captain Salah, so let's go someone else, and that is one way. But my thinking is I'm just trying to find a few players that I've got the big hitters covered. Can I get someone in like a Pereira, like a Richarlison at that price that, when I brought Pogba and Rashford in, when they scored on the weekend, I don't get that feeling like, oh, yes, my player scored, because everyone's getting points for Rashford and Pogba. So I was like, please score Pereira, because he's at home to Burnley. And if a Pereira goal had gone in, I would have, maybe got a couple of thousand places up the ranks. And I'm just sort of maybe looking for a player now. So
what about like a Bernardo Silva or something instead,
Bernardo Silva's a shout. He is a shout. I mean, he got dropped in the last game with Pep. You never know, do you? That was a bit of a shock. But
but I think that's more because of the run of games that they've got now. I think maybe wait and see what happens in this little bit here. And then if he doesn't play much of that, I think you can pretty much say he starts in the next. He did say in his press conference that Bernardo had played a lot of games. And I think that, that's why I got Aguero, because of what Jesus said when he was like, I'm pretty much behind Aguero. I know Aguero is number one, so I'm just happy for the chances that I get. And so for me, I just, pretty much sold it for me to get him in, I guess. I'm assuming you can't get up to Sané, because that's really where I'd be
quite. Surprisingly, I'm not far off. Obviously, dropping Kane, I got a lot of money in the bank. I am far off Sané, but Bernardo and Sané, they have got this blank coming up. So Spurs potentially not. So if they don't qualify for the final of the, if they don't beat Chelsea, then Lucas Moura does go up my ranks again. Then I'm not saying I'm going to get him, but he's definitely one I'm considering, because the goals have got to come somewhere for Spurs, and if he's fit, surely he's going to come back in. 3 home games on the bounce, Burnley after that. There's a lot of temptation there, but it'll probably end in disaster if I do get him. But
well, you'll buy him, and then you'll sell him just before he does really well.
Probably, yeah.
Like you did with Firmino.
Yeah, for sure. Always the same.
So that's good for the rest of us. Although I'm not sure I'll be going there. So do we have any other questions in the chat?
Yeah. So Simon the Bomb wants to know, is Alonso on borrowed time now? He hasn't got Hazard. So should he be keeping Alonso? Has anyone still got him here? Just Kurt. So
I literally left him this game week, so I've only just got rid of him.
And he hit the post, didn't he?
Hey, how many times that man have to hit the post this season? Really?
So, to be fair, quite unlucky for a lot of their owners, really. And he's got a great record against Arsenal and almost scored against them again. So, Kurt, where are you with Alonso? Is he like top of your list to kind of move on now? Or are you going to sort of hold strong for now?
He's close to going. He is up there. But I don't see the point in sort of knee-jerking it at the moment, because we've still got over a week.
Knee-jerking?
Knee-jerk? It's been since game week 4, hasn't it?
Well,
21 game weeks. Let's not knee-jerk.
All right. What I meant to say then is to use a transfer up this early on when we've got a game week Tuesday, or a week tomorrow. So I don't see the point in using it yet. I don't think he'll play against the mighty Sheffield Wednesday. Probably one of the better teams he's going to play this season. In the cup, if he does play, that is. And then after that, he faces an away game against Bournemouth. And I said it once already this stream, Bournemouth are one of the most unpredictable teams in the Premier League. And, well, you look at the first half against Watford, I believe it was 3-3. The keeper's barely saved anything. Everything that was shot went in. So as long as he gets it on target, surely. And the fact that it's not as if his playing style has changed. He's adapted more of a defensive role with Sarri. You constantly watch Chelsea. You look at him and he'll be making those runs and he'll be in the area. He's in the right areas. It's just not falling to him at the moment. I feel like once that sort of clicks back into place, it could be, still quite a good time for him. But that and the fact I think Chelsea are potentially a decent side to get clean sheets. They are quite boring. You look at the previous game weeks and he's picked up last 4 he's picked up 2 clean sheets. I think Arsenal game, it was just a bit of a naff performance from Chelsea. But with Bournemouth away and Huddersfield at home, I just feel like those 2 games deserves a bit of an extra credit because it is, at the end of the day, he's Marcos Alonso. He's proved before what he can do, and same with Digne. I mean, you look at Digne's last 6. I think he's got 2 double-digit hauls. He's got 2 game weeks where he got 2 and 1, and he's got 2 -1s. So he's all over the shop. But the reason I've got Digne in the team is because of the fact he can produce that phenomenal game week. Alonso has the added factor of more guaranteed clean sheets. So, and he's already gone down to 6.5. He's 6.6 at the moment. If he goes down another 0.1, I don't lose any money. So I don't see the point in getting rid of him just yet. I think he'll see out next game week. And maybe Huddersfield after, because that's a guaranteed clean sheet, he says, touching wood. But no, Alonso is on very much borrowed time, but he's maybe got a couple of seconds more under my management.
I was talking to Super Blue about this, one of the girls that's quite a big Chelsea fan, and she was saying that Chelsea fans would like to see Emerson play, since, like Alonso, he can attack, but he also defends better and can recover quickly. Alonso doesn't overlap naturally, and he's an awkward crosser. He prefers the underlap, which puts him in the same space that Hazard likes to be in. That's why he scores lots of goals. And they obviously prefer more balance. They'd actually prefer their defender to be doing some more defending. So I thought that was quite interesting, because I think maybe when we're outside looking in, as FPL perspective, we're always looking for the for the points from him, I guess. So it was quite interesting to learn what their thoughts were on him. But yeah, I think maybe, I guess if you've held this long, it would be worth sticking it out, possibly one more week. But yeah, because CJ's shaking his head. I mean, I'd be inclined just to go for Luiz if I was going to go with the Chelsea defender. So at the moment,
that's what I'm saying. If you're thinking, okay, he gets clean sheets, David Luiz gets the clean sheets, and he's cheaper. And to be honest, Luiz is getting attacking returns, which Alonso isn't. So if you can't necessarily see a move elsewhere, and you're thinking of the fixtures that Chelsea have, then why not move to David Luiz? Mm-hmm. Now, of course, Alonso is completely capable of then suddenly scoring 2 goals in a game week. But for me, long term, I feel like Robertson is just going to be that much more reliable. And potentially when Mendy comes back, depending on which Mendy we get, if we get the Mendy from the beginning of the season or the Mendy that came back after the first injury, I feel like there's players in that price bracket, and Alonso's price is dropping, because I've owned him since he was 7.1, and literally I transferred him out at 6.6, and that just got me Robertson. So, and I was thinking, I've got plenty of time. Alonso's more expensive than Robertson, and I just saw Robertson going up and Alonso going down, and I was like, I need to make the move now if I want, because that was the main difference between my side and I think the sides around me, was I didn't have a Liverpool defender, because I went to Trent got injured, didn't go back to Robertson, just went somewhere else completely. I can't even remember where I went now, but I feel like Liverpool and Robertson and Trent much more reliable as far as clean sheets and attacking returns.
Yeah, okay. Robertson, sorry Nim, just very quickly, but Robertson's just been painfully consistent as someone who doesn't own him and hasn't for the whole season, which is bizarre that I haven't. Even in the previous game week just gone, like, I thought finally Robertson's going to blank, and he got an assist in like the last minute, and I was like, are you kidding me? Like,
I thought I broke their defence. I was like, I've ruined Robertson for everyone.
So what were you going to say, Nim?
I was just going to say, you've touched there on Mendy, Jay. I'd be interested to get your thoughts, and I'm pretty sure there'd be a fair few that would like to get your thoughts on the whole Sané feeling of what happens now when Mendy comes back in. I have my own thoughts, but I don't own. So I was just wondering, as an owner, are you worried?
There's a little bit of me that's worried, but they did play together when Mendy first came back. I think Sané's in very good form at the moment, and I feel like he's still got to get game time despite Mendy coming back, just the way he's performing. So I'm not feeling like as soon as Mendy's back, that's it, I need to get off Sané. I will watch it and see how it goes from there. But right now I'm very happy with Sané. He's provided me the points of the 11 million players for I think I got him for 9.6. So I'm very happy with Sané at the moment.
Yeah. Quite surprised to see. I think he's only still like 10% owned or something as well, which I saw that earlier. I thought, wow, I did not realise that's quite incredible that he's still so low owned. I feel like everyone owns him except me, but
yeah, I felt like that, like my rank just when he, when he got that goal, it felt like my rank went like that.
To be honest, right now City midfielders seem to be differentials. Whenever my City midfielder does
that's why I said to Brett, could you not get a Bernardo or because they are so low, low owned. I mean, I don't think that will be the case by the time the next game week comes around. I think they'll shoot up. But yeah, it does leave me in a pickle. For instance, like I really should have and did really want to go with Sané last week, but I didn't. I went with my love. But now
followed your heart, not your head.
I did. I don't know. Well, I was full of cold as well, which didn't help. And it was 1:30 in the morning, and I could see Snodgrass was about to drop, and all I could see was Aguero coming back and like getting a little something against Huddersfield. So I completely fluffed that one, and I'm completely regretting it now. Weirdly, even though I really do love it and enjoy owning Aguero for sure, but I do feel like if I'm going to play Pep Roulette, that I really should be doing it with a cheaper player. So it does leave me in a pickle. And if I go this week for the -4, there's that worry in me that I do that, and then Mendy comes back, and then I've completely made that move, for nothing really for Sané. And could be trying to recreate it again then in another week or two. So I'm in a right old 2-H. I'm in a right old 2-H, lads. Don't know what to do. So yeah, it's just I do know that Sané was doing fine. I think there was a lot of chat that they couldn't play together, but they did play a couple together, and I think Sané was still providing.
What I saw happen was Mendy wasn't as advanced when he played with Sané.
Agreed.
And then like the Mendy that started the season without Sané there was just, he might as well have been a left winger. But the Mendy that played with Sané in front of him seemed to be a lot more withdrawn. So I'm hoping that will stay the same, and I can just have Robertson, have Sané, and be a happy JNO. That's what I want.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, then. Do we have another question in the chat?
Yes, lots of questions. Steve Wynyard would like to get some Richarlison/Anderson replacement options, except for Jota. So, any replacements around that 6.57 million mark that isn't Jota at the moment?
Fraser, which me and Jay both have, but he's a bit,
I mean, if you're thinking of the blanks and
although,
doubles,
why didn't
Maddison...
he get the assist? Why didn't he get the assist in that last match? Like, I watched Match of the Day, and Fraser, it kind of come off of the defender's, like, grazed the defender's foot or something, but it was so clearly a Fraser cross. Sorry, I went off on one there.
You're not annoyed about it at all.
Not at all. Only
Salt
mildly.
intensifies.
Yeah, that would have been okay for my -4 right there. Instead, it was shocking. Okay.
This is a tough bracket. This is actually like a tough price bracket at the moment because I got Richarlison, and obviously I probably won't sell, but I've been looking at selling him. And, I've got Pereira at the same price as well. He's underperforming. There's not many that are really selling me at the, so when he says without Jota, it's easy to look at him because he just banged in a hat-trick. So obviously like Kurt says, our ears prick up a bit, and then you're like, wow, this guy could be great. But I guess my mention of Lucas Moura earlier is like, I'm trying to preempt something, trying to get a player before they explode. So it's like getting Jota before the hat-trick, for example, so in that sense, because it's very easy to consider a player that bangs in a hat-trick or gets a double-digit haul or something. But yeah, if Lucas Moura does come back from injury, with 3 home games on the bounce, if they don't blank, if they lose to Chelsea, I think it's 6.8 million now. In that price bracket, I do like him as an option because they're going to need goals from somewhere. Ali, Son, Kane out. I know it's not an exciting option. It might not pay off, but at that price, who else is there, So what do you guys think, Jay and Kurt? Any around that price that you guys like?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Simple answer.
That's how short your answer is. I might as well go.
I have Felipe Anderson, and I've constantly been looking around thinking there's got to be someone there that, really, sort of opens my eyes, but there's no one really.
I think if you're going to go a bit lower, you could consider like a Redmond or
Redmond's a good shout.
Or a JWP. If you wanted to stick around the same sort of price, I know we're not convinced by Chelsea, but if they get a striker, I really do feel Pedro Willian could be a bit of an option going into the later half of the season.
But which one, Nim?
Oh, now you're asking me.
With them, that is the headache, isn't it? Pedro or Willian?
Yeah, that's true. Madison, maybe. He got an assist, but he does have a couple of toughies in the next 3.
Jay, what are your thoughts on Lamella? Because there's a lot of people in the chat on about Lamella. Have you got any thoughts? Because I think like maybe 10 game weeks ago you were maybe considering him, weren't you? A long while ago.
Yeah, he's the one that I've watched ever since he's moved to Spurs and been like, it could happen, and it just never has.
No,
so
it hasn't,
it's almost been that it's taken so long that I'm worried to even risk it because I'm just like, it never seems to come through. He has 1 or 2 games where he looks really good. Yeah. He pulls out Rabonas and does all sorts of stuff, and it's just like, what is this player? Where's he come from? But then it never really like becomes any sustained sort of form where I'm like, okay, I can jump on board this. Whereas at least with Moura, and I know Nim is against bringing in Moura, you have that period at the beginning of this season where he was doing really well. Especially
and very far
for his
forward
price.
Too,
Yeah.
Well, I'm not against it necessarily. It's just hard once.
No, come on.
I'm not.
Every time we say his name, you're like, no.
Yeah, I know. But to be honest, if he came back and he could prove to me, like a Pogba, for instance, that he was going to be there week in, week out, getting a little something, then I'm not going to cut off my nose to spite my face. I would consider getting him back in. It's just that if he's just a streaky player for me, he really, I don't know if value-wise he's worth the extra bit of money when you could be having that money in a different, cheaper, streakier player, personally. But hey, look, he's going to come back and he's going to prove to us that he can be less streaky. Then I'll be, be running back.
to support your argument, Nim, I guess bringing in Moura as well could be maybe like a little bit too short term if Son comes back. I guess it's if you bring in Moura, like I might do, then I'm going to have to keep an eye on when South Korea are finishing the, do they go out? Do they get eliminated?
Son is the only one I really want.
Yeah, because he is the obvious option, isn't he?
He's a Spurs player for me.
Yeah.
I like
and whilst Spurs were struggling, I think he was banging away 2 goals over in South Korea. I think the last I heard. So he's not upset at all.
There's someone in the chat saying about Shaqiri. Has anyone got any thoughts on him?
Shaqiri. Well, I'm not sure what happens now because with Milner out, does that make him a bit more likely? Will he kind of put an extra player in midfield?
What has Shaqiri's minutes been like? I mean, I can't say I've looked at it. So has he been starting, playing
off
much
the top of my head,
the last 3 weeks?
He plays against smaller sides very often. And
okay, so he played 19 minutes against Crystal Palace, 71 against Brighton, 13 against Man City, and then he played 90 against Newcastle and Arsenal before that.
Yeah, that's the worry. That's all for Shaqiri. Great value, and when he's played, he's like been brilliant. Brilliant value. But that is the worry, isn't it? You bring him in, he might not play each week, and that's the frustration. So that's why I've never really considered him, only for that reason, just because you're never
Here's a shout for you. Here's a shout. It's a bit of an odd one. It's a bit out there. Yeah, but what do we think about Milivojevic? Southampton, Fulham, West Ham, Leicester next. And he's, yes, most of his goals have been penalties, but last week he did get an assist against Liverpool.
Well, would you bring him in then? Would you consider him?
Would I consider him? Interesting. I'd probably be more likely to go Townsend, probably, out of the two.
How much are they both now?
Milivojevic is 6'1" and Townsend is 5'8", so there's only 0.3 between
Yeah, sure,
them.
about the same.
So
next season when VAR comes in, if it comes in, then you get Milivojevic.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. First name on the team sheet.
You watch FPL bump his price up because VAR's in.
Yeah.
Milivojevic is now the same price as Salah. Okay.
Wow. Yeah, that'd be interesting, wouldn't it? Okay, we'll have one more then before we wrap up on our random questions.
Sure. Okay. There's a question from Game Theory. And he wants to know, is doing Callum Wilson for Ings a good short-term move? I'm not sure whether he's saying he's got Wilson and he's getting Ings. He says, is Wilson for Ings a good short-term move? So maybe he's getting Ings in for Wilson, perhaps, because Wilson's got the yellow flag, Ings has got the nice fixtures. What do you reckon? Anyone got Wilson here?
No.
Just me. Just me then.
I was very close. I told you guys actually in our little group chat that I thought Ings would do better than Jimenez last game week. And given the chances that he missed, I don't know how he didn't.
He passed the eye test for me, for sure.
So given that, and if Wilson is injured, because I'm not sure. I don't actually know why he went. Did he go off because of injury then? If he's yellow flagged, he must be, I guess. So
frustrating that. Yeah,
I think it's a good short-term move. Yeah, personally, I do.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in this boat now, and this is the exact transfer that I've considered, to be honest, because I'm at a place now. I've got a great squad, which I had over Christmas, lots of options. But each week now I'm having to bench one of, Callum Wilson or Pereira, both 6.5-ish players. Oof. And there's a lot of money I could free up there. And Ings, is like an extra million freed up, only 5.5, which is a bargain for a striker with great fixtures. And back from injury on penalties, and clearly the manager likes him because straight back from injury, straight back into the team. Southampton need a goal scorer, There's a lot about Ings I like. I watched Match of the Day. He had a lot of chances. He was very unlucky not to get the assist because Digne got the last touch. It would have been an assist, and it ended up being an own goal. And with Wilson, I don't know. I mean, he burned me this week. Yeah.
He is one of those players, isn't he? You've got to love owning him when you own him, and then you got to hate owning him when you own him as well.
Yeah.
I mean, Bournemouth's fixtures are terrible.
They are bad.
Yeah, and so for Wilson, if I keep him, I think Bournemouth's fixtures are very 50-50. It's a good game week, bad game week, good game week. So they have a Cardiff, then a Chelsea, then I don't know the fixtures, but it's a 2 and then a 5 and a 2 and a 4.
Chelsea, Cardiff, Liverpool, Wolves, Arsenal, Man City.
Exactly. So it's very I would still have to be I would probably bench him for the hard games, because I've got options in other places too to play. So it's the
thing is though, are you going to bench Ings, and then are you going to have with Ings's fixtures? Yeah. To be honest, how can you leave him on your bench with those fixtures?
I know, that's true. I guess it would be hard too. A lot of people at this time now, I think all of us have a squad where the fixtures look good for a few teams, and we've all got these benching headaches at the moment, and it's like you don't know which way to go. I guess the only thing with Ings is because he would be cheaper, at least I've got more money to put elsewhere if I am benching Ings, I mean, you're completely right, though. It would be hard to bench him this week.
Watford and Southampton do rotate quite well in the next 6.
So Pereira and
Ings would rotate quite well. When Watford play Tottenham, Ings has Crystal Palace at home. When Ings plays Arsenal, Watford have Cardiff away.
Don't bench Ings against Arsenal. You're just asking for trouble.
Benching Chelsea players against Arsenal would have worked. So, and then when Watford have Liverpool, Southampton have Fulham at home. And then Southampton, Man United, Watford have Leicester at home. So they rotate quite well, if you are thinking of it.
Yeah, I know I'll miss Wilson because he's played amazing all season, a great option, but I kind of know I have to free up some money somewhere because I have got too many expensive players benched at the moment, and if I drop Wilson for Ings, then I might be able to afford a big upgrade, maybe Richarlison to Sane, for example, and pump even more money in midfield. So, yeah, I think that was a long answer, but I think it is a good short-term move. Look, Wilson could punish you. He's got another injury niggle now. It's like another yellow flag. Is he going to play or not? Which is frustrating. And he's got Chelsea next. And he's got all this transfer speculation around him. He could easily go and score against Chelsea the way he's playing. So, like I said earlier, if you make that move like I might, you've got to accept that it could burn you. But it's still a very good option. I think Ings is very good at 5.5. So it's a sensible move.
Yeah. Agreed. Anybody want to weigh in any more on that?
No, I think it's pretty much been covered.
Apart from the fact that I should have got Redmond because him and Hollebass rotated well. Damn it.
I mean, the only thing I would say is if
where was
Wilson
this information last week, Jay?
Well, I only just looked now. I just thought, as soon as we're talking about it, I'll have a look.
You do remember we're in a group together competing against other groups. You're meant to be helping me here.
We're also in a league together where we're competing against each other. Just saying.
It's where your priorities lie.
Yeah, we know.
J&O wants his own channel to prosper and not WildCats. Confirmed live on stream.
I think we better move on.
Hey, if you start sharing how we're doing in the community clash on streams, then I might take it a bit more seriously.
Well, we're in 11th place right now, we missed out by 1 point this week for a win. 1 point.
At least the captain choice was right, though.
Yeah. So, we did captain you this week. See, we were kind and captained you.
Well, usually what happens when I'm captain and we've got a stream is I don't do that well, so I'm glad we broke that curse.
Yeah. We still lost them. Okay, cool. I'm going to go on to the random questions now. And they come from some of our regulars. Jeff at Thunder66UK and at Momo_FPL. And the first is one skill or something we'd like to learn one day. So I'll go first. I'd like to learn how to play FPL without bringing my heart into the game. So I think there's a course in Norway for that. She found that you can actually take a course in FPL in university.
Is that why they do so well?
So I best get my thermals on and get over to Norway and learn. But what about you guys? Kurt, I'll come to you first.
I'm a big fan of guitar. Would like to learn guitar, I suppose, and also how to play FPL and learn to just bite the bullet and say, "I'm going to bring in Salah this week." That's what I need to learn how to say, but I can't say it on its own and do it. Something's stopping me.
Cool. Jay?
You know what? I haven't thought about this question because I was so busy working on all the OBS stuff. I would love to learn another language. I have started and then I always seem to end up not following through on it. So I would love to learn another language. My mum actually speaks another language and I can't speak it.
Does she speak Portuguese, Jay?
Yes.
Yeah, cool.
So basically at school, I lived around Brazil, Chile and all that until I was about 3-4. Then I went to English schools and I could speak both, but I'd mix them up. So the school system decided that's not acceptable, you need to learn English. And so kind of drilled the other language out of me, which is a shame. And yeah, I've never learnt it, which is a shame.
Oh, that's a shame. Brett, what about you?
Yeah, same as Jay for the language. I've been doing Italian for the last 2 years, but I'm still very much a beginner. So I'd like to get fluent in that if I could. It's a great, really fun language, beautiful language. And in terms of music, I've always wanted to learn the piano. So I just never get the time. It's one of those things where I always say I would love to do that, and you just never do it, But yeah, that's definitely something I would like to do in the future. If I can free up time and not think about FPL as much, it would be good.
Cool. Okay. The other one, Jeff's one, was what are your 3 must-have tracks for your road trip? So, Kurt, music. What are your 3 must-have music tracks?
You really don't know what you're doing asking me for my music. It is the weirdest taste, as mentioned, I think, a few streams ago. When I mentioned my favourite band was Gogol Bordello.
I'm pretty sure it's Gorgo, but
Well,
there was a bit of love for that band in the comments, by the way. Someone appreciated your answer last time, yeah?
Yeah, it's a good band. I know them.
Fortunately, that's
me neither.
It doesn't surprise me. My music taste is weird. Yeah, going on the track of Gogol Bordello, just got my iTunes up quickly. The song Transcontinental Hustle is one of my favourite songs of all time. So I like that one. I'd have to go most likely if it's a road trip and let's say it's in America, or not America, but Germany, where you can go well over the 70-mile-an-hour speed limit. I'd say Dragon Force Through the Fire and the Flames, just so you can motor it. Just because it's quite a fast song, and a song that hopefully someone will get. But if you don't, I won't hate it on you. It's a Tripolovsky.
Right. Don't know.
No one will have heard of that, and if they have,
okay, someone in the chat will have heard of it, surely.
Yeah, somebody will.
We'll see. We'll see.
Okay, Brett.
Okay, well, there's so many different songs and stuff. It's pretty. I like heavy metal, and so this is going to sound maybe a bit dark, maybe not great for a road trip. But if I was to get into a car and I wanted to have 3 songs in my car, then probably Vermilion by Slipknot. There's a song called Departure by Trivium. Trivium is one of my favorite bands, so Departure is probably my favorite song from them. And Killswitch Engage are my favorite band. So probably Arms of Sorrow by them would be my 3rd track. Yeah. A bit dark and depressing, but great songs.
Cool. And Jay?
Well, first of all, if my daughters are in the car, anything from The Greatest Showman, because that will keep them happy. So that would be the main thing, because then my car journey will be a lot smoother. As far as for myself, I probably can't pick 3. My taste changes so much, so regularly, that I could name trap songs like Renegade, but no one's going to know that. Rose by Seal is one of my favourite songs ever.
Yeah, great song.
I'm not into that genre, but I just love that song.
Yeah, brilliant.
But my taste just varies so much that I don't have a favourite 3. I'll literally get into a car and just be like, today I fancy this, and then I'll look for songs for that. So, but those are some that would probably always be played in a car trip of mine.
Cool. So I even listened to my songs this afternoon to live this question to its fullest.
Wow, that is
that's
commitment. Yeah. My mum is the queen of road trips, so a lot of these songs are inspired by her and my childhood. But my first one has to be ELO, Mr. Blue Sky. If anyone knows that one, absolute classic. We'd likely just put on the soundtrack from The Lost Boys. I don't know if anyone knows that 80s vampire movie, but YouTube it. You'll love the soundtrack. It's pretty excellent. And I'd probably say I Still Believe from that one is probably the most apt for my FPL season so far. So you can give that one a listen and you'll understand why. And the last one, because I do love to sing, I'm a bit of a singer, and I would like one I can absolutely sing my lungs out to, and that would probably You've Got the Love by Florence and the Machines. So that'd be my
powerful song. Good song to sing.
So does that mean next year we can have you sing our intro music?
I can do if you want.
Can I change one of my answers quickly? I've completely forgot about one song.
You did look as if you just went through a pained moment as Brett was speaking.
Well, the reason I said Tripolowski was because I could not think of the name of the song, and it was bugging me. And then the minute I thought of it, I was like, oh no, John Denver, Take Me Home Country Roads.
Nice. Yeah, good tune. Cool. All classics. Okay, then we'll check over to the polls.
I'm ready.
Which, oh my God, he's actually ready. The surprise. Cool. If Jay wants to wrap those up, and yeah, thanks again for watching and sticking with us. If anyone is still about, thank you so much.
41 watching, we still got a decent number.
Yeah,
they all came back.
Awesome.
Thank you guys.
A lot of love for the Lost Boys soundtrack as well. James Morgan says, great soundtrack. People are strange when you're a stranger.
Yes. Awesome. That's so cool. I'm so glad somebody else knows it and I'm not just sat here like, me and my vampire crew.
And James Steers likes the Mr. Blue Sky choice as well. So a lot of love for Nim's answers there. Not so much for my heavy metal, dark, depressing stuff.
I would just like to add Phil Collins as well. I completely forgot him.
Yeah.
But anything by Phil Collins is pretty good.
Yeah, good choice.
Cool. Okay, polls.
Anyway, polls. We didn't have many because I went off of the questions from Twitter and we didn't get as many this week as usual, but that might be because we're streaming so quickly after a game week's over. Who to captain for game week 24? That's always one of the questions, and it's a bit of a whitewash. Rashford, Aubameyang, Aguero and other were the other options, but Salah has won by 100%.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay.
And then Hazard, Alba still worth keeping, which was one of the questions from Twitter. We've got 50% being the highest option with Aubameyang worth keeping, but not Hazard. We then got 33% saying Hazard worth keeping, but not Aubameyang. And then 16% saying neither worth keeping. So no one saying keep both, by the way. So seems like generally the Jamboree think that we shouldn't be keeping both of them because it's too much money wrapped up in the side. Anyway, guys, that is it for this episode. So first off, apologies for the technical difficulties in this stream. Thank you for you guys for sticking with us and catching the second half of this stream. It's much appreciated. We have a decent amount of time to try and work on this, so we'll see what we can do about that. Also, if you have enjoyed this stream, please hit that like button. Please check out all the links in the descriptions down below. I'm sure all of us will be doing content this week, so go check out all of our channels as well. And we will catch you guys next. Yeah, even Kurt's back, by the way. Kurt is back. So go and check out his channel, and we'll catch you guys later.